Welcome to the Stoa. The Stoa is a digital campfire where we cohere and dialogue about what matters most at the knife's edge of what's happening now.
How's everyone doing in this crazy world? All right, tonight some interesting stuff planned. We have our first guest speaker, none other than Peter Limberg. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about what he's calling the Stoic Hustle. We're also going to riff a little bit on the top metagame, which I know some of you are very interested in. I see a lot of familiar faces, which is great. I also see some new faces, which is also great. So I guess I will leave it to each of you to follow up with any questions if we're moving too quickly, if you're new to what we're talking about. But just to set the stage, these weekly sessions are really experiments. It's something we've been experimenting for a number of weeks now. I think this is like week 13 or week, and we're exploring the importance of relationship. The tagline, which is like semi-tongue-in-cheek, is that this is a place where we prototype digital gangs, sovereignty, and respond to the meta crisis. The gang idea is basically in reference to small groups of people that really care whether or not you show up, that really kind of hold each other together, especially in time of crisis. So down into one specific, I guess, skill set that these gangs can use, even you can use as an individual, that relates to productivity, for the lack of a better term, and really term, because I don't think we like it here. But before we launch into it, before I hand things over to Peter, I'd just love to hear from 2 or 3 people what brought you out here tonight. And just unmute yourself and talk, or you can use the hand feature if you know how to use it. Yeah, just let's hear from a couple people who show up tonight.
I think it's really rare what you guys are doing, that you're like going out and looking for truth, but it's got a foundation of love in it. And I just really appreciate that from both you, Daniel, and from Peter. And I want to get closer to that thing and get involved in it and make something good out of it. Thanks.
Thanks so much for saying that, Megan. That really means a lot to hear. Anyone else?
I missed the question. I apologize.
Paul, just what brought you out tonight? What's your interest about this?
Oh, yeah, I'm interested in anything meta. I see a lot of division out there, and I'm more interested in the gray areas and everything in between and beyond and behind all of that, and just looking for some new, refreshing ways of thinking about things and talking about things, and the process of discovery versus the process of being right or debating or trying to win an argument or getting locked into that way of conversing. I'm sort of tired of that.
Yeah.
So
fair enough. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Paul. Any let's hear from one final person.
Hello.
Hey.
I'll tell you why I'm here. Because I want power. And I realize that it's a naughty word, but that people shy away from it because the assumption is always, I want power over other people. No. But I want personal power to, get things done and that sort of thing. So that's what it's all about for me.
I see some head nods. Does anyone else resonate with what Ray did? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, we'll see if we can deliver for tonight. It's going to be Peter speaking. After that, we'll have like some time for some group discussion. I want this to be very engaging. Just again, to set things up, I say this every week. If you can, please turn your video on and do your best to stay engaged and to make friends. engagement could mean just using the chat. Feel free to have back while the presentation part is going on. And then for making friends, just like reach out to people, just even if it's awkward, just let into it. If there's somebody that you think is interesting, go for it, because I promise you everybody in this room is very, very interesting. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Peter Limberg. We gotta make you co-host.
I think I'm co-host already.
There you go.
Cool. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll first do check-ins. I like to do check-ins when I lead a session or I'm introducing the session, and I'm nervous today. It's like over 40%, which is unusual, and I think it's because I did a PowerPoint. I worked on a PowerPoint presentation, which I haven't worked on one for like 5 years, and Daniel has really tight PowerPoint game. So I thought, you know what, fuck, I got to step it up. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And then we can start. All right, so everyone can see this? Yeah, all right. So Metagame Mastermind, as Daniel likes to say, it's a digital games to help people maintain sovereignty and respond to the meta crisis, which I absolutely love. So what is a mastermind? I will give my take on the whole mastermind metagame, and then we can talk about what I want to present today. So what is a mastermind? The term, as far as I know, the mastermind group was coined by Napoleon Hill from Think and Grow Rich. And he phrased it as a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. And sort of a normie take that I noticed that a lot of different mastermind groups pop up. Sort of an accountability group that helps individuals set, pursue, and achieve goals. So goal setting, goal pursuit, and goal achievement. So what is a metagame? And here's my jazzy definition, which I'll unpack. Playing the metagame helps us discover the right relationship with the ecology of games we are currently playing. So if you've been reading my journals, I mentioned sort of my repurposing of the axiomatic principle of Stoicism. And a lot of people understand that as living in accordance with nature. I don't really like that. I like being in the right relationship with reality. And if you're in the right relationship with reality, you're in the right relationship with everything in reality, including the games you play. And there's this, I didn't coin this, but there's this term called the ecology of games. And the idea there is that we're always situated in an ecology of games. We're playing multiple games at the same time. Some games may be dormant that we could play if we wanted to. So a game I'm playing right now is, I want to be as clear as I possibly can so people understand this idea, and also with the sensitivity of it being broadcasted. I'm also playing the game of being a steward and wanting this to be a beautiful experience for people. I'm also playing a game with a relationship with Daniel, because I know this is his sort of like thing, and I want him to look good. And I'm playing the game of being likable, being lovable. So I'm doing some impression management in order to achieve that. So there's multiple games I'm playing right now. And the idea is you can be in right relationship with the games that you're playing, and you can be in wrong relationship with it. And being in right relationship with it is playing the right game in the right way in the right time. So games that we're considering with mastermind groups and this mastermind groups could be fitness games, diet games, finances, careers, romance, individuation, impression management, privacy, prepperism, activism, you name it. Games and certain goals can be teased out of all these sort of categories. And the game that we'll focus on today for the remainder of this PowerPoint is getting shit done. Getting into the right relationship with getting shit done. And this goes to Jordan's point about power. It's not necessarily, there's distinctions of like, in power literature, power over someone and power to something. And this modality that I'm going to introduce in a moment is gesturing towards power towards something, and that power is getting shit done. And we have lots of shit we have to get done, stuff that we necessarily don't want to do sometimes. And for me, that's like posting these videos at the Stoa. It's editing the gift economy page. It's posting events and booking them on the website. It's coordinating with facilitators. All this takes administrative work, and it takes dedicated focus in order to get that right. So how do we get shit done here at the Metagame Mastermind? The Stoic Hustle. Before I introduce the psychotechnology, I will talk about the concept. And this concept first came between an exchange Daniel and I had on LetterWiki, which is this link right here. And here's a quote from that exchange. I invite us to unite two seemingly incompatible ideas, stoicism and hustling, to see if we can find coherency in the notion of a stoic hustler. I think that if we can combine the hustler impulse with the stoic detachment, a healthy and noble hustling could be born, one that will allow us to play the metagame well. And if you read that exchange, you can kind of figure out more what we mean by that. But the idea of the hustler is this desire for effortfulness, like to apply effort in one's life and to get shit done, essentially. And with the stoic impulse of detachment, if stoicism, if you're a good stoic, you're not concerned about not achieving something. They have this idea of preferred indifference and dispreferred indifference. So anything out of your control, your direct control, and your direct control is basically your thoughts and actions. Outcomes, achievement, success is not in your direct control. So they're considered an indifferent. And some indifferents are preferred and dispreferred. So this talk going well right now is a preferred indifferent for me. And a dispreferred indifferent is it not going well, people getting confused, they don't like it or whatever. But there's an outcome independence with that. I'm not going to get triggered or cry or have a breakdown if people don't like it, if I don't get what I'm trying to aim for. So how can we combine that stoic disposition of outcome independence with this hustler notion of getting shit done, power to what you want to get done in this world? So that's sort of the concept of the Stoic Hustle, or in the Stoic Hustler. And the Stoic Hustle, the psychotechnology. So how can we actually practice this shit and not talk about it? And so there's three aspects to this, which I'll go over. A work cycles methodology from Ultra Working, which I slightly repurposed, a chatbot confessions, and then time block sessions. So I'll go through that right now. So work cycles. The idea here is that we're silently hustling on the shit we need to get done in a Zoom room together. So imagine a Zoom room. If you ever did Daniel's writing crew, it's a similar idea. So there's a Zoom room of 20 plus people together, just silently working together on their individual stuff. But it's broken down in 30-minute work cycles. So there's a lot of different productivity techniques like Pomodoro techniques, whatever. They have certain time cycles where you work really hard, focused, and then take a break, and then you work hard again. So that's essentially, we work for 30-minute cycles together, have a 5 to 10-minute break, and then this is all led by a metagaming general who's basically just keeping track of time and say, okay, 30 minutes are up, now we're on a 5-minute break. And how this is going to, what we're actually going to do, can everyone see this spreadsheet okay? Cool. So there's a spreadsheet that when you come into the metagame or the Stoic Hustle, you own some real estate and put your name down there. Maybe Jordan. And then the general says, okay, write down what you want to achieve in this 30-minute cycle. So what I'm trying to accomplish in this cycle. Edit, and post 2 videos to YouTube, right? Things I do not want to do during the cycle. Okay, no Twitter or checking my phone. Is there any hazards? Yes, a friend might call about an issue that might be distracting to me. So the general will say, okay, everyone's done writing that down. Everyone is going to write their own versions of it there. And then 30 minutes begins. And during the 30 minutes, if you get distracted by something, there's a mid-session bucket. If you're familiar with David Allen's Getting Things Done GTD methodology, he has a bucket system where if any ideas come to your head that are actionable or non-actionable, which are distracting, during one of your work sessions, you just write into a bucket. It could be a little journal, it could be emailing to yourself, it could be an app. So we have a mini bucket here. And so if like something of mine, like buy cat food or something like that, like I'm just going to put it here. And so I can kind of delegate it later. So I don't get like distracted by it. After the 30 minutes, the general calls 30 minutes, we debrief individually. Did a goal complete? Let's say I didn't complete that. I only did one. Things to improve next cycle, maybe just post one video during a 30-minute cycle if I'm going to do that goal again. And then after that, we set up the next session. Then we go on a 5-minute to 10-minute break. And after the break, we come back and do another 30 minutes together. So that is how, and I'll open up for questions. Hopefully Daniel can prime me with a few questions, but I'll open it up afterwards to questions. So yeah, chat box confession. And here's a picture of me in Zoom looking like a biker who has to go to the washroom. And so we are in like a Zoom chat. Let's say everyone's in a Zoom chat together. And then remember I said I didn't want to go on Twitter, the things I didn't want to do. Let's say I went on Twitter. And so you write in the chat box, confession, I looked at Twitter, right? And so everyone can see it, and then everyone's writing their confession, and then you can kind of like, hey, don't worry about it, man, or you can whatever you want to do there. So that is a part of this modality. And then time blocking. So the first 2 sessions are on June 9th and June 11th. It's 5 hours, so 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. I could be just doing this by myself if no one signs up, but if you're interested, it's on the Stoa website right now. You can RSVP there. And this is open to evolve. So there could be other ideas added to this modality. Like we can be listening to the same music, so we develop some kind of hustle communitas together. There could be breakout sessions if we're working on the same project or someone needs help with their goals. It's like I can give, I don't know how much co-access rights I can give, but you can have co-host access and say, hey, Jordan, do you want to just talk about this briefly? While everyone's hustling in their room, you guys can go in a breakout room and then come back, continue with the hustle. And what else? What else ideas might emerge for this? Who knows? So I'm viewing this as a spiritual office space in a way. If you ever watched the movie Office Space, you'll get what this meme means. And I kind of like that idea. This is office space, people working together, people can go to different rooms and different things. And this is something that people can plug into when they want to be in right relationship with getting shit done. Is that it? That's it. So I will stop sharing my screen and then hand it back to Brother Daniel. Or if Daniel, you can stop sharing it for me. There you go.
There you go. Awesome. That was really to the point and practical, and your PowerPoint skills are probably better than you think. I imagine a lot of you have some thoughts and questions based on the stuff that Peter said. I already see some excitement in the chat. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to start asking Peter a couple of questions that came up for me, and then we'll open it up to the group. But yeah, the thing that comes up, Peter, and you and I have talked about this personally before, is just tell me a little bit about your relationship, hustling, discipline, being productive for extended periods of time, and whether there's complexity around that you could speak to.
Yeah. I guess there's 2 modes that I've operated in. One is like a highly disciplined and structured mode. And the other one is sort of like a crazy daemon inspired mode where I am just I don't know, just balls to the wall, just doing whatever and getting things done and not knowing how I'm getting things done. And ever since COVID happened and I launched the Stoa, that's sort of the mode I've been in. Just feels very fragmented and scattered. And so I need to return, or not need, but I think it's the right move to return to some sort of more structured discipline where I can incorporate things that need to get done, but necessarily are not innately inspiring to get done. Like I don't really like posting videos and editing them, but they need to get done to an extent until I can hand it off. And then I can't hand it off until I figure out what I need to get done, so it needs to put some thought into it. And I find if I have these sort of enabling constraints that I put on myself and then others encourage, then it's actually fun doing those things that I normally would not want to do when I'm in this crazy daemon inspired spiritual mode. So yeah, I'm looking to be in right relationship with those 2 modes of working.
This reminds me of a meta problem where whenever you come with some sort of practical solution to solve a problem that in this case, these work cycles, right? Or the Stoic Hustle as a modality, then sometimes there's this meta problem of not having the initiative the whatever, to actually do that strategy. Do you have any thoughts as to, like, just to kind of spell that out further? You don't want an influx of strategies to get you to use strategies. So at some point there's effort in actually bringing the strategy in. Do you have any thoughts on how do you behave in a way so that you naturally pull on something like the Stoic Hustle when you need it?
Yeah. Relationality is coming to mind. And Jessica, she has something called relational exegesis. It's a psychotech about, we read a text together, and we're building a relationship with each word, with the ideas, while we're building a relationship with each other. And, Daniel and I have been masterminding for like years together. And what made it fun and made it exciting and made it work, in my opinion, is the relationship that Daniel and I, it's almost like an excuse to set goals so we can be like, hang out more, right? And we could build a relationship with each other. And so what I find with this Stoic Hustle practice, and you and I did something like this, I've done it with other people, it's you're working, but you feel like you're in a relationship with someone else while you're working. And then that relationality with other people encourages you, and it transfers having a relationality with the work you're actually doing. And then I find that the spirit of it, even if you're doing this practice solo, it helps too. But the idea is to have maybe just this modality, like maybe there's a 24/7 Zoom channel eventually, just called the Stoic Hustle, where people just come into this and there's like, a general hands off another general and whatever. So I think the key there is relationality and being in right relationship with that.
Yeah, I love how you brought it back to that. So that's obviously one of the central themes that we riff on here at the Metagame Mastermind, how most of our puzzles in life are the product of poor relationship skills or poor relationality, whether it's with yourself, with your goals, with your environment, with your peers. And so develop more strategies, but we don't go further upstream and solve the problem of how we're relating to everyone. And it's kind of futile. I wonder if you have any more thoughts on that. If not, my final question is if you can speak a little bit more to how this connects with Stoicism for people who might not see that as obviously.
Yeah, I touched on that a little bit in the beginning of the presentation. Is Stoicism is about focusing on what is in your control. It's not focusing on the outcome. And if through prudence and practical reasoning, you think it is most wise to get shit done, what is the best way to go about that? And I don't know if this is the best way, but it feels like a really decent way that we can experiment with. So I don't know, that's kind of like a non-answer, but that's the first thing that came up.
Yeah, well, it's what's in your control right now. So we'll go with that. All right. So I don't see questions filling up the chat yet, but we have a small enough group that I think we can do this popcorn style. And even if you just have an idea or you just have a comment that you want to share with Peter or the rest of the group, feel free. So just mute yourself and go for it.
And you know what? I'll turn off the recording now so we can kind of speak freely.